Today's gonna be a battle of the Bay. I have the Aer Day Sling Max 4 and the Rework Gear Toshi Sling V2. Both of these are 6-liter. Now they are available in different sizes, but today we're specifically looking at the 6-liter versions. If you're looking for a full detailed walkthrough and review of each of these slings, they each have their own reviews. I'll link them down in the description below. You can check that out. Today is going to be more of a straight head-to-head comparison where I think one sling excels over the other. So I have a couple of categories where these slings are going to go head-to-head. And remember, all of this is based off of my opinion and my experience in using these slings. So if you don't agree or you have a difference of opinion, definitely sound off in the comments below. I would love to know what you think about where I stand on these two slings. With all that being said, grab your grains of salt, and in the words of the late great Mills Lane, let's get it on.
Round one.
So when it comes to materials for these slings, both are using top-notch materials. We have a combination of YKK zippers on both of these slings, and Duraflex and Wuben hardware sprinkled throughout depending where you're looking on the slings. The biggest differentiator between these two slings is the base material. We have an 840D nylon here and a 1680D Cordura ballistic nylon. So not only are we using a name brand material, we're also using double the denier. So the denier is the weight of the yarn. So at 1680D being double that of the 840D, we have a heavier yarn, a thicker material. So I think the clear-cut winner of the materials battle is definitely going to be the Aer Day Sling Max 4. Using name brand material like Cordura and then double the denier, while I think the 840D is perfectly fine, it's actually, I think it's overkill for a sling. There is no question here that the 1680D is going to outperform the 840D here in pretty much every aspect.
Round two.
So jumping into the comfort of these slings, both of these harness systems on these slings are going to use a 1.5-inch strap. When you get into these larger size slings, I think a 1.5-inch minimum strap is what we need to see here. I would like to see a 2, but 1.5 is very sufficient. Both are using the 1.5-inch softer tulle material, similar to what you would find on the seatbelt of a car. So nice quality, nice size for weight distribution. The biggest difference between these two harness systems is the Rework Toshi comes with a removable shoulder pad. You can keep it, you can take it off, but I like having the option to have that pad. With these larger slings, you can start carrying water bottles, larger cameras, lenses inside these slings, and they start to add, and all that starts to add up in weight. So having the additional shoulder pad, I think, is clutch here for these larger slings to add a little bit more comfort. The second area where the Rework really outshines the Day Sling is going to be the connection points. The Rework has 1, 2, 3 connection points on each side of the sling. So I opted to connect here on this side and on the side of the sling on this side. So that's going to put this sling more of an upright orientation. So you can change the orientation on how you want the sling. You want it to tilt more, you want it to be more flat against your chest or back. You have the option to do so here with the different connection points. Because this strap is removable, reversible, it is compatible with left hand and right hand carry. So on the Day Sling, you're locked in. The strap is stitched in. What you see is what you get. You can't change the orientation of the buckle to the left side. And while you have connection points on the side, much like the Rework Toshi, you cannot utilize these side connection points for the strap because it is sewn in. So I think that's one area I knocked this Day Sling in my initial review. And this is what's going to make the Rework Toshi Sling the winner here of the comfort category because of the pad and the multiple connection points to really dial in the comfort for yourself.
Round three.
The aesthetics of these two slings are going to be very similar because they share a similar silhouette. I think the material choice is also going to play a factor in here because of that 840D nylon being softer. It's going to look a little bit more frumpier, so you can tell with these sewn in darts for volume, it just looks a little bit more grumpy, more frumpy. And of course the rain flap, I know it's not a popular option with a lot of my viewers. They've mentioned that they don't like this rain flap. And when you get over to the Aer Day Sling, that tougher material, that burlier material, it makes this look a little bit more refined, cleaner looking. We still have the dart sewn in here for volume. It just looks clean and crisp overall. The cut of the sling itself is also angled down and angled here versus you have the boxy end of the Rework Toshi here. So it's going to stand up better on its own, but this one's going to carry a little bit better to the body because of that angled shape. So overall aesthetic, it looks a little bit more aerodynamic. So I just think the Aer looks more refined, cleaner, a little aerodynamic, a little bit more techy, while the Rework Toshi Sling can look kind of frumpy, especially when you pack it out at different levels. It just looks real crumply, and not everyone's a huge fan of the rain flap on the front. So when it comes to the aesthetics category, I think this is an area where this sling not only excels, but I think Aer in general, their products just really excel on that clean cut, refined look of their gear.
Round 4.
When it comes to the function of these two slings here, I flipped it inside out so we can see the interior pocketing. This was a lot tighter than I initially thought. When I really sat down to start thinking about my experience between both of these slings, I thought the gap was wider, but it actually wasn't that wide. Now, the Aer is gonna have a traditional pocketing system, stretch mesh pockets all the way down to the bottom, and we're gonna have the same here on the Rework Toshi, stretch mesh all the way down to the bottom. One little secret thing that I like about the Toshi Sling is these two little mini pockets that float above the bottom. So for example, if you have a water bottle in the sling, it's gonna sit about right here. It's gonna sit about right here. So you can see in the Aer Day Sling that some of your gear is gonna be competing down at the bottom with that water bottle. And you'll have the same situation here if you load larger stuff in the back. But because of these two floating pockets up top, your smaller gear like AirPods, chapstick, eye drops, if you're carrying makeup, lipstick, anything like that, it's gonna float at the top and make it easy to find so it doesn't get lost into the abyss of this large sling. So it's a great place to organize your smaller gear. Now, Aer did put a smaller zipper pocket on the inside so you could house things like that and also keep it up and elevated. And the Rework doesn't have that because this pocket here is actually the front for these sunglasses or quick access pocket. So if I'm picking which I like more, I think I like this a little bit better. While I love this, I think I like this more and having that quick access pocket on the outside, giving up that space there. So it's all a matter of preference, but when it comes to the function, I think that the internal layout of the Rework Toshi is just a little bit better than the Day Sling. So both of these slings do feature a removable and relocatable carabiner key leash here with the premium nicer aluminum hardware. Again, making this function category just a little bit more tighter than I initially thought. Now, one area where I think the Day Sling does excel is in the top carry grab handle. This nicely padded, easy to grab handle is miles better than the thin webbing here on the Toshi. So this one area of improvement I think it can be done. I'm glad they added this webbing to have a place to grab onto, but I think Aer's execution is better. Where the Toshi Sling really starts to pull away in function is the external lash points or compression straps that you have on the outside that you can buckle in here and carry a water bottle. You can carry an umbrella, a jacket, gloves, anything on the external of your sling. And we do not have that option here on the Aer Day Sling Max 4. Being able to carry things on the outside of this large sling could come in clutch in certain situations. Again, adding to the bag's functionality and overall versatility. And the way it tucks away is super nice, very unobtrusive to the whole entire sling. They just tuck up away in there and have this magnetic closure. Again, adding to the bag's overall function that really trumps the Day Sling in my opinion. And the last area of function where I think the Rework Toshi is going to pull away from the Day Sling is that it has an additional stabilizer strap that you can purchase. So if you want to use this sling in a cycling situation or on a hike, you can add the stabilizer strap to make this bag a little bit more easier to carry, more functional for different scenarios. So while this category was a lot tighter than I initially thought, I think the Rework Toshi Sling is going to be the winner of this round.
Round 5.
And for the fifth and final category is the overall carrying experience as a whole, the total package. What do I think? What are my opinions? I think the Rework Toshi Sling here is gonna get the slight edge over the Aer Day Sling, but it's very, very close. I think Aer did a great job on the Day Sling Max 4 on revamping and changing some of the features. The reason the Rework Toshi Sling slightly edged out the Day Sling for me is going to be mainly in the comfort department. It's because of the shoulder strap. I can relocate it. I have the option of using or taking off the shoulder pad if I'm carrying camera gear, water bottles, heavier gear. And then the option to carry stuff externally, always having that there where it doesn't take up a lot of room. It's unobtrusive. Just having that flexibility to carry something else just adds to the overall carry experience in my opinion. The Aer Day Sling, like I mentioned, is very, very close. This top carry grab handle is clutch, and it makes me really want one on the Rework Toshi Sling. When you go from this basic webbing to this nicely padded top grab handle, the user experience is very different and much more enjoyable on this one. But as I'm talking about the package as a whole, the Rework Toshi Sling is going to be the winner here. But sitting down and reflecting on both of the experiences and using both of these slings, this was a lot closer than I initially anticipated. Okay, so to wrap things up on this comparison video, while the Rework Toshi Sling slightly edged out the Aer Day Sling Max 4, it was very, very close. I think if you want something that's plug and play, that's gonna work for you right out of the box, this is where the Aer Day Sling is gonna excel here. Take it right out of the bag, put your stuff in and go. You're not gonna have to dial in the comfort of the strap, and you're not gonna have, you know, a 4-compartment sling. You know, this is only a 3-compartment compared to the 4-compartment here. So the organization is a lot more straightforward. It's a good blend of organization of open spots and small mesh pockets. So I think the right out of the box experience is gonna be excellent. And if you're somebody who's looking for just, you know, hit the ground running, this is where the Day Sling is gonna be a really good choice for you. Now, if you wanna spend a little bit of time in dialing in your shoulder strap, dialing in your comfort, and the little bit more complicatedness of the 4-compartment sling plus the additional, you know, compression straps down at the bottom, this is where the Rework is gonna shine for you if you want a little bit more organization. I personally love having a quick access pocket on the top of the sling here. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous for a sling, right? The entire thing is kind of quick access, but having this small little dump pocket here is really nice, really functional. And of course, the shoulder strap is where this sling really excels for me. So if you want to spend just a little bit more time organizing your stuff in the sling, and of course, spending a little time with the harness system and figure out what works best for you, I think your user experience on the Rework Toshi is going to be great. No matter what sling you choose to go with in the end, I think you're gonna get a real winner. But I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments. What do you think about the head-to-head comparison of these two slings? These are arguably two of the most popular slings on the market, so I would love to know your overall thoughts. If you like today's comparison video and you want to see more like it, please consider hitting like and subscribe, as that directly supports me and the channel. Now, if these two slings aren't the one for you, good thing is I've reviewed a ton of different slings and I have an entire playlist right here to help you find the right sling for you. So thank you for supporting today's video. Can't wait to see you on the next one.